I'd like to thank everyone for coming out to our London City Council meeting. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silent reflection. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk, could you please take the roll call?
Russell,
Present.
Peters,
Here.
Robinson, Hayes,
Present.
Hitt,
Here.
Blazer,
Here.
Smith.
Here.
All right. And has everyone had a chance to take a look at the minutes? I think we had a couple of corrections and they've been made on there. And all in favor of approving the minutes from our last meeting, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, minutes carry. On to communications and announcements. We have two requests here to transfer, let's see here, get the wording correct. It says, application for change of LLC membership interest. And the first one is for Speedway on High Street. And from what I understand, they have sold all the Speedways, so they're going to change the manager of those. So all in favor of approving that change for the Speedway on High Street, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, opposed, same sign. Okay, and then we also have for Rich Gas Station, which is owned by Speedway. So they've been sold as well, and they have the application here for changing the LLC membership interest. All in favor of approving that, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, opposed, same sign. Okay. On to our audience concerns, and tonight we'll have 2 minutes each. We'll start with Danielle Fredette.
Hello, my name is Danielle Fredette. My address is 1064 Dorset Court, London. Okay, I've had this city council meeting on my calendar for a while because, as I understand it, typical procedure would have had you voting on the abortion bill ban tonight. I was a bit shocked to hear about the way that you circumvented the need to face the people of London, ganging up on Councilman Smith, and voting down the bill in a surprisingly early vote. Despite the fact that legal concerns had been extensively addressed, and despite the overwhelmingly positive testimony of actual London residents, as opposed to the out-of-town activists, you took the coward's way out. Your gutless choices regarding the handling of this issue have not gone unnoticed, and I'm extremely disappointed and intend to be a lot more active on this and other city issues in the future, including searching for and advocating for better and more courageous candidates for our city council. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, next we have Elizabeth Branson. You have 2 minutes, please. And state your name and address in 2 minutes.
Elizabeth Branson, 500 Graceland Avenue, London, Ohio. Having attended several meetings regarding the abortion ban, I had much confidence in the council members in voting for protection for the unborn in London, at least from those who claim to be pro-life. Much to my dismay, the vote went south for the unborn. How can you claim to be pro-life and vote no? I understand the financial concern, but where is your trust that God will bless London for making the decision for life versus death of babies? I hear the wordage from the pro-choice persons and organizations saying women should have the freedom to decide how to plan their family decisions. That sounds sweet, doesn't it? So, they might say, this year we decide we aren't ready for a baby, so we will destroy it. Maybe 2 years from now we will decide it's time to have a baby, so we will let this one live. How can you ever stop wondering what that killed baby would have accomplished had it lived? How can the heart and soul be seared so much to think and not grieve over that destroyed baby. I can't fathom that way of thinking. I have prayed for many years that doctors and nurses and workers in the abortion clinics would not have any peace and have many sleepless nights and maybe go home feeling ill and vomiting after a work day of watching aborted babies. Maybe I will pray for this council the same way. Maybe a relative of yours, a neighbor, a friend, gets an abortion that you know of in London. Maybe you will have a difficult time sleeping and eating because of my prayers to that end. What is the difference between your child, your grandchild, your friends and neighbors' babies, and the one in the womb that was killed? Except one mother chose life and the other death. How can the fear of lawsuits overshadow the decision for life? How can you put a price tag on a human baby? If you believe in Jesus Christ and know your Bible, that is not an option. Only if politics and hypocrisy comes into play can you choose pro-choice over life. I urge each one of you to examine your heart, and perhaps in the future, by God's grace and intervention, this will all turn around. After all, you were elected by we, the people.
Next, we have Luke Plagerman.
My name's
Say
Luke.
your name and address, and you have 2 minutes, please.
My name's Luke Plegman. I live on 212 Olive Street. It definitely feels like a low blow to get the early vote no. Seemed like we had a lot of people in the community on board and just got shot down. I understand that it was the hard decision and the hard thing to do. However, if we always back down from hard decisions to make, let's use George Washington and the early Americans as an example. If they would have backed down, we'd be under English control right now. I'll yield my time.
Next, we have Lacey Smith. And say your name, address, and you have 2 minutes, please.
Lacey Smith, 204 Olive Street, London. I'm only going to read half of it because I had much more than 2 minutes, so I'll be back next time. I was unable to attend the November 18th meeting, but I made sure to watch a recording of it once I heard what happened. I had to hear what transpired myself. What others told me had happened and what was said was to me unbelievable. I'd like to point out that although each one of you stated that there was no coordination with each other, that just seems very unlikely. Even those who were vehemently against this were pretty shocked that the 3 reading rule was suspended and the legislation was voted on that night. If there was no discussing this with each other prior to the 18th, why did not one counselor ask why Mr. Peters moved to suspend it and vote to keep the 3rd reading? You all were so quick to just vote that suspension. Wasn't one of the goals and things you promised that you would give this the time consideration it needed? Then why the quick vote? But that's not even the worst of it. I'm appalled that Planned Parenthood of Ohio knew that the vote was taking place that night. At first, I thought it was a mistake when the event page of the anti-life rally said to expect a vote on the 18th. But once I found out what happened, I knew it was all planned. You decided to appease the anti-life crowd and to be done with all the pressure and drama that came about with this. How cowardly. Now, there's the utter disdain I have for all of your statements. Mr. Hitt stated he voted no because of possible financial risk, and he didn't think we had the authority over the state law. Even though I disagree with him, I expected that's what we would get from the rest of you, but that isn't what happened. Every one of you spoke anti-life rhetoric. Mr. Hayes, not only did you vote against life, but you also verbalized how you don't have a right to legislate what one does with their own body. In your eyes, not allowing mothers to end the life of their children is the same as forcing someone to get vaccinated. If we're against mandatory vaccines, we should also be against not allowing people to kill babies. That's strange logic. Mr. Robinson isn't here, so I'm going to end here because I have more, but I will be back next week.
I'd like to interrupt. Mayor, did any of these council people have a meeting with you? Was this vote planned? I want that on the record right now.
No one spoke to me about this legislation except for some of the basic stuff that was talked with the law director. When I gave my speech, the reason I said what I said is because of the feeling I got being in the meetings, all the committee meetings, where they said, we're not going to have this die in committee, we want to bring it back, and we're going to take it to a vote. So because I couldn't be here, when I gave the speech, that's why I assumed they were going to take it to a vote. There was no talk with, I have not ever spoken to anyone from the groups that Ms. Smith just talked about, and no council members came to talk to me about this. So when that was brought up about myself colluding with other people, there's no truth to that, and that was a false statement made by a council member, and I wasn't going to talk about it, but I was just asked about it, so I thought I would.
Well, I'll just go ahead and clear something up too. No one stated that any council member colluded with the mayor. It's not in the minutes, it's not on the video. I even apologized to Pat, sent him a text because as the council members began to make statements so adamantly that they did not collude with the mayor, I was a little confused because I never made that statement. And so we can make that clear tonight that I never stated that any council member colluded with the mayor for this legislation.
Okay.
But you did say that I knew that it was going to go to a vote and that we were talking about it, that it would go to a vote, so that would be collusion in a roundabout way.
No, it's not collusion, but to me, in my opinion,
Okay, we're
As
going to
you
stop
do
this
that-
conversation now. We don't need to
that-
discuss this. The legislation
They had-
has already passed. We know what's happened. Right now, we're in our audience concern section. So we're going to move on to Anita Likens.
Henry, it failed, not pa- we've already dealt with it, not, you said passed.
Or, yeah, it
Yeah.
failed. I mean, the legislation's already.
Passed
on.
us, yeah.
And please state your name and your address.
Thank you. Anita Likens, my address is 157 East First Street here in London. Thank you for providing the London residents a chance to be heard during city council and committee meetings, specifically over the last 2 months. For the hearing of these views on, I'll be honest, it's the sanctuary city legislation that I know did not pass. I have attended all these meetings, I have listened. But here I stand tonight to speak. In the last few weeks, I have heard comments regarding constitutionality, viability, city risks, and financial costs. I have also noted multiple times that council members expressed appreciation, though, of our civility. It was displayed. I think we all are finding ourselves appalled at the deterioration and lack, the bottom line of common courtesy and civility in our current society. I know it has gotten much worse during my lifetime. Perhaps you've noticed it too. That's probably why our exhibited attribute of civility demonstrated during these meetings even warranted being mentioned. It's not normal. Gee, we're kind. But here I stand being civil and sharing my observations. For those of you may recall Will Rogers, he was a political humorist in the 1930s. He wrote that people's minds are changed through observations and not through argument. He also said you can't legislate common sense or intelligence. To both, I would add civility. Rational people accept and learn from observations communicated with civility, their courteousness and their politeness. And rational people recognize that you cannot mandate civility, but it's part and parcel of a mature, reasonable dialogue with intelligent individuals. So to that end, I stand. I stand being civil. My 2 minutes up? Very good. We will continue.
Thank you. You're. Oh, okay. All right, then, let's see here. Yeah. And then next, Gary Likens. There we go. Please state your name and address, and you have 2 minutes, please.
Gary Likens, 157 East First Street. Trying to see where my darling wife left off here. To that end, I stand before you being civil. What is civility? Merriam-Webster definition confirms courtesy and politeness and or acts of expressions of politeness. But there is an older use, an archaic source of civil in the earliest sense of the Middle English, Middle French. It is of or relating to citizens, hence the Civil War, civil disobedience, civil service. Civility, it focuses on the common good of the society. So here I stand in the fullest of civility. And so stood my wife's great-grandfather, William Strasburg, in civility. On August 28th, 1862, he joined the Maryland 7th Infantry to fight as a Union soldier in the Civil War. He was a poor farmer, left his family, his farm, and risked life and limb. He was resolute. He stayed until the war was won. He mustered out in 1865 after Appomattox. William Strasburg started a poor farmer. He died a poor farmer. There was no glory, no position, no financial gain, no territory gain. He fought for the common good of society. He saw injustice, and he stood. In 1857, the Supreme Court decided in Dred Scott versus Sanford that those of African descent were not citizens. It was to protect the liberty of the slaveholders who kept persons in slavery at the expense of those persons deemed not citizens or warranting the protection of law. We can all agree that the Supreme Court erred. It was a terrible decision, immoral and unjust, that it was wrong in both premise and its constitutionality. The decision was not legislation. It was not enacted by the people, but a federalization decision to override states' rights. The Supreme Court bowed to economic pressures of the powerful Southern lobby and tried to reduce it.
How much do you have left, sir? Because everyone, we're being fair, so
I
everyone actually
understand.
gets 2 minutes.
We'll find someone else to read the next one.
Okay, do you have a lot left, or?
Another page.
We'll have to move on because we still have a couple more people here to go. All right,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, next we have Brendan Shea. And you have 2 minutes, and please state your name and address. Thank you.
Good evening, Brendan Shea, 60 Logan Avenue. Really digging it in with the 2 minutes here. I had 5 minutes prepared like others, but I'll do my best, and I will be back. In his closing remarks, President Comer stated, "We had an overwhelming majority of people who, through emails, through Facebook, through presence in council meetings, that were not for this legislation. We've heard it over and over. We've heard it through the committee, and we've had a sprinkling of people who were for this," unquote. A sprinkling of people who were for this. On October 7th, 75 London and area residents marched for life. Most of them attended the council meeting that night, and 23 spoke in support. I've provided photographic evidence of the crowd. I understand that President Comer couldn't attend council that evening, and that the video from that night fell victim to technological difficulties. But your minutes accurately reflect the 23 London residents who spoke in support. And yet, on November 18th, President Comer said that this legislation had a, quote, sprinkling of support. Do you see how bad that looks? Regardless of how it looks, Mr. Comer's comments were antagonistic and simply untrue. Throughout the process, based on your minutes and the public records I was provided, the grand total of London residents who registered an opinion with council was 32 in favor, 29 in person, 3 via email, and 22 opposed, 11 in person, 11 via email. That's 32 in support and 22 opposed among London residents who weighed in. Yes, council received a number of form emails in opposition from people outside of London, but with all due respect, you don't represent people in Columbus or Cleveland or California. You represent the citizens of London. Mr. Comer, you have a duty to tell the truth and to the citizens, I'm finishing up, you represent, to retract the comments I read from last meeting and to set the record straight. I sincerely hope you will take the opportunity to do so tonight. There's much more to say about what transpired last meeting. 2 minutes is simply an insufficient amount of time. I will continue my remarks next time. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would just like to comment that that one meeting there that night was not the full spectrum of the meeting. We had several meetings through a couple different committees. So do you have numbers from all of those meetings and all of those committees as well, more than just that one night?
May I respond?
Yeah.
Continue his speech and then find out.
No, we're,
Yes, that's what I provided. I gave you the grand total among all of the city council meetings, the minutes from your meetings for the 4 meetings.
okay, and is that including the committee meetings? Because this was heavily discussed in the committees, not as much in council, because by the time it came to council, we didn't have heavy discussion on it. The heavy discussion was done in the committee meetings. So.
Are you implying that at the committee meetings, there was more individuals against it than for
And
it?
it's not that I'm implying that there was more, I'm implying that there were others that would also add to these numbers. So,
I was at
so
all
that's
the
where we're at.
meetings.
And our job as councilmen and women are to listen and to come up with an informed decision. And, you know, a lot of our decision was actually based on the fact that no matter if we're for or against it, it's based on the fact that London's a statutory city. We can't even bring legislation that would go against that. We're not a home rule city. If
But
we were a home
President
rule,
Comer,
that would be.
you know, we
totally
cut the other lady off,
Yeah.
so we should cut him off too. We cut the other conversation off.
different. So.
Yeah, but we
so
cut,
thank you-
we
thank
cut
you
her
for
off,
your-
so we just need to be
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah, thank you for your
You know,
comments.
we need to be
Next,
fair.
we're moving on to Michael
Yes.
Norman.
He wasn't even talking.
We just. need to
Brandon
be fair.
Shea wasn't even talking. We just need to be fair.
Yes, we do.
Thank you.
It's my
please-
turn.
Yeah, please state your name and your address. You have 2
Michael
minutes.
W. Norman, 188 South Oak Street here in the great city of London, Ohio. And my original reason for coming in, I've got to kind of put to the side. This is crazy. You're complaining about only having 2 minutes. I only was allowed 2 minutes at the last meeting, you know, so quit crying. The second thing is, you know, I do agree with them on this, Mr. Comer, that I did go to these meetings, and I do want to clarify that I felt, and this is my feeling only, that I was the underdog in most of those meetings. I felt that being against this, I was the underdog, just like right now. I feel I'm the underdog here. And I feel, and I understand where they're coming from that. But I don't think that has anything to do with the vote that happened, because I listened to each and every one of your final remarks, and the one thread that each and every single one of you had, whether you realize it or not, and if you want to be truthful to yourselves when you listen, you'll hear that the biggest reason this was not passed is because it's a garbage piece of ordinance that you cannot enforce. It cannot be enforced. I proved it when I went down to Lebanon and showed you that I can get abortion-inducing drugs down there. Your argument is, well, that drug's used for other things, so we can't outlaw it. What did you just say to me? You're telling me that I can get the drug because it can't be outlawed. You say it in your own words. Mr. Smith says we can't go against what the state laws and the court's laws say. State law says here in Ohio, abortion to 20 weeks. We live in Ohio. This is London, Ohio, not London, Russia, not London, you know, wherever you want to be. If you're going to say, you can't speak out both sides of your mouth and say, we have to follow state law, but then say, we're going to pass this that goes against state law. And my original statement that I came up here to say was, are we, did you hear the timer go off? Well, he got a couple extra minutes, but my original reason for coming in is because Salina, Mark Dixon stood in front of Salina and slandered Mr. Smith and our city council. And I think someone should go to Salina and clear the record for
All
us.
right, thank you.
So that they know what happened here.
Thank everyone for their comments, and I'd also like to just add that we do follow our legislative processes here. So we do bypass the 3 reading rule, and we've used it, and it's something that's going to continue to happen. And we don't use that as a weapon to stop people from speaking up or anything. We encourage people to speak up. But out of all of our meetings that we've had in our committees and everything, it was clear to those who make the decisions from those meetings which way it seemed as it was going to go, being that we are a statutory city. Even though, we may be Christians and we may be Republican Christians and everything, unfortunately, the line comes when we realize our position as government leaders, and there is a separation of church and state when it does come to that, and that is irregardless of our feelings and convictions, with our
Anybody have a
spirituality and
timer?
everything. Unfortunately, that's where that comes in, because we cannot go against the laws of the state, because we are not a home rule city, we are a statutory city. So, thank you everyone for your comments. Now on to our committee reports. Mrs. Russell.
I have nothing.
Okay. And Mr. Peters?
A safety service meeting yesterday. Tammy was unable to attend the Parks and Rec. But I do know the basketball program practices have started and the games will start. I want to say, when's the first game, Pat?
January.
For basketball. So
Oh, Saturday.
Games start this Saturday for
Big day.
Parks and Rec. Street Department, they've been quite busy. They've been tearing down Beaver Dam on Park Avenue, cleaning catch basins. They put the lights up downtown Park, filled potholes in the alleys. They took traffic lights down, did some street sweeping. Gotten the trucks ready for the winter, put some plows on the truck and salt spreaders on. And next meeting will be in January, be the first Wednesday in January.
All right. Thank you. On to Mr. Hayes.
Safety meeting will be coming up December 14th at 5 PM, conference room.
Okay. All right. On to Mr. Hitt. You have?
I have nothing.
Okay. Mrs. Blazer.
I have nothing.
All right. And
Excuse
Mr. Smith.
The water department, right now, we're still waiting on the paperwork, the results of the water study that was done through the federal EPA. We were supposed to have had it at the end of October, but we're still waiting. I think a lot of the federal EPA is still not working in the office. Sanitation had a big thank you come in. They, and I've seen this before, and I try to bring it up, just like, just with any department has an employee do a really good thing. But we had a resident noticed, I don't know if you remember a few weeks ago, we had a lot of high winds, knocked over some trash cans, and the employee's name is Dan. He went out, picked the trash up by his hands, cleaned it all up, put it in the trash cans, and then put it in his truck. I meant to have the dates for trash. Well, the schedule will be printed on your December bill for Christmas. We will be doing the free Christmas tree pickup and the Christmas presents. That's what's supposed to be trash pickup. We'll still be doing that free again this year. The wastewater plant had to have a water heater, or excuse me, not a water heater, sorry. It was just a heater repaired. It was about $1,400. They're working with the sludge that we take in. We do have quite a bit of finances that come in from that, but we're also having issues with rags. Somehow, a lot of rags keeps getting in the grease. Excuse me, I said sludge, I meant grease. But we do receive quite a bit of finance from that, so we're trying to work that out. the, some of the new water meters have been installed by our employees. Most of them, I believe, will not be installed by our employees, but they are getting them out, getting them set up, and so far it's went very well. So that's all I have for committee.
All right.
Henry, can I just touch on one thing, please?
Okay, yeah.
Anthony, I just let you know, we did get an email today from the US EPA, and they said they wanted to touch base and let them know that they're working on finishing up the pilot report.
Okay.
And they are waiting for a few more samples to go through the internal QA/QC process, and then they'll finalize a report soon, and then when completed, they'll send it for review, and then they'll probably set a meeting up, Zoom, to go over it. So I just got that today, and you said that, so I wanted to let you know.
All right, thank you. All right, and on to our city official reports.
All right, so, I do want to apologize, but I am going to be unable to attend the next meeting for city council. My son is going to have his school Christmas program out at St. Patrick's School that evening at 6:30. So with that being said, if I don't get to see you guys, I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. It's kind of crazy that we're already saying that. It's already December. So this is also the last council meeting that I will attend with the current members. So I want to thank Carla Blazer and Brenda Russell for their service to the city. They've been great council members to work with, assets to the city, and you guys will definitely be missed. The support of the administration has not gone unnoticed, and we definitely appreciate that. Hope you both stay involved, and if you, so don't hesitate to call, and if you would like to serve on a board or a committee, let me know. We're always looking for great people to do that. I'd also like to welcome the two new members who will be coming on at the beginning of the year. I see them both sitting back there, John Stahl and Greg Eads. So I wish them the best of luck coming into the next year, and look forward to working with you guys. This Saturday, the 4th, from 8:30 to 11 a.m. will be the London Rotary Pancake Breakfast with Santa. This breakfast will be held at the Madison County Senior Center. And then there will also be a breakfast with Santa at St. John's Lutheran Church on Saturday, December 11th from 9 a.m. to noon. And that will be held at their church out on Kinney Boulevard. The revitalization district has been finally finalized and approved, the whole thing. So the liquor licenses are now available. So if any established business or new business is looking to acquire one, they can reach out to the State Liquor Board or to our office for more information. The Butcher Block restaurant is very close to opening. They've been given their temporary occupancy, which that's the way it usually goes. They get a temporary first from the city, and so we're excited to welcome them to our city and look forward to opening day, which will be very, very soon. We are currently working on the final union contract negotiations. We hope to have those negotiations wrapped up by the end of next week and present them to council to be ratified on the 17th, December 17th meeting. So fingers crossed we can get that thing knocked out, and so we can bring it to the next council meeting so we can have it completed and done and ratified before the first of the year. We also do have at least 5 more memorial benches for sale. So if you're interested in purchasing one of those, please contact Amy in the administration office. These benches have been a great addition at Cowling Park. I think there's around a dozen that they've been able to put in if you've been up there to check that out. So thank you to everyone who purchased one of those benches. I am proud to announce that I'll be teaming up with Shoe Sensation and London City Schools Raider Rack for the 2nd annual Mayor's Day sale. We did this last year. The sale will take place at Shoe Sensation on Sunday, December 12th from noon to 5 p.m. You'll be able to receive 10% off any regularly priced item. And Shoe Sensation will also donate 10% of your total bill to the Raider Rack. So this will help purchase shoes for less fortunate children in the school systems. Shoe Sensation will also be donating an extra $500 to the Raider Rack. So especially with the cold weather coming and, you know, kids maybe needing boots and things like this and that'll be a great thing that hopefully we'll get a bunch of people out there so we can raise some money to help out the Raider Rack. It's a great way to get some new shoes, support a local business, and help out this great cause. So I want to thank Shoe Sensation for their help with this and their generosity. Now on to the fun fact, which is the number 6, and that is the age of my son. Maddox will be turning this Wednesday. Some of you know that I found out my wife was pregnant about the same day I said I was going to run for mayor, so let's just turn my life completely upside down altogether. And he was born less than a month before I took office as mayor, so he's a great kid, smart kid, impresses me every day. And the crazy thing is watching him grow over the past 6 years really goes hand in hand with the growth of this city and the things that we've been able to do to grow this city. So just want to wish him a happy birthday. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you. All right, on to our old business. Ready for the third reading. Ordinance 21421. Motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
All right, clerk, please read the ordinance.
Ordinance 21421, sponsored by Brenda Russell. An ordinance to make appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of London, State of Ohio during fiscal year ending December 31st, 2022.
This is the budget for 2022. It's a third reading. Are there any questions?
You have a question?
Rex, we have a statement.
Okay, and, all right.
We've got some items that needs to go to finance. It's went through BPU, it's going through finance about some things, and it may affect the budget. So I would request that we just let it stay on one more time, and we may make some amendments next council meeting.
Okay.
So we'll leave it on.
Okay, thank you for giving us that information. All right, on to new business, Resolution 22021. Motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
All right, clerk, please read the resolution.
Resolution 22021, sponsored by Anthony Smith, a resolution authorizing the auditor to transfer funds.
What this is, sanitation, they have farmland that they rent out, and that was paid. It was received by the BPU office. It just needs to be taken out of that fund, the water fund, and put into Les's fund for sanitation. We're not authorizing him to spend any money, nothing like that. It's just being moved into his account. And the reason it's an emergency is we need to have this before the end of the year. So that way it reflects budgets properly, income losses, things like that accurately. So, does anybody have any questions? No? Okay. I'd make a motion that we suspend the 3 reading rule for 22021.
I'll second.
Second. Clerk, please take the roll call for suspension.
Peters?
Yes.
Hayes?
Yes.
Hitt?
Yes.
Blazer?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Okay, and a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
All right, clerk, please take the roll call for adoption.
Hayes?
Yes.
Hitt?
Yes.
Blazer?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Peters?
Yes.
All right. Okay, and on to roundtable. Mr. Smith.
Again, I just want to reiterate, I did not say that the mayor colluded with anybody. I do think it is interesting, and this is, again, not even including him, moving on from that issue. I was the only one surprised that a suspension vote was even brought forward. It's interesting watching the videos. With this being one of a highly supported legislation, this has been probably one of the most supported legislations since I've been on council. I would ask that the president would correct or rescind his statements and not looking at public officials, but for citizens, that this was not a mere sprinkle of people. Would you be willing to do that?
At this time, that's something I would be willing to consider. But my issue is that even though you can count the number of people that you know that support this, you can't with confidence say how many people in committees and even that night that were here that were actually for or against it. You can't say that definitively.
Well, we actually we gave you the numbers.
To have an actual count out of the people that were here that you did not know, you can't give a definitive. So that's my answer.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's all.
On to Mrs. Blazer.
Are you done?
Yeah, I am done. That's fine.
Okay. Never in my life been called cowardless. or gutless. Not been cowardice when I have crawled into burning buildings to put fires out and to save people for 44 years as a female firefighter. I've never been called gutless when I've taken care of people, cut them out of auto accidents, and crawled into their wrecked vehicles for the 42 years I've been a paramedic. And I can assure you I was not cowardless or gutless when I made my decision. And I was surprised. If you didn't see it on my face, then I must have hid it very well. My reason for going with is because I felt that the information that we were getting was repetitious. If you watch the videos of council, if you were at the committee meetings, you'll know that I asked questions. I asked questions from both sides, and not one time did the against people call us names like they did before we made the vote, and now tonight after we've made the vote. I made the best decision, I thought, for both the city and for both what I thought was right. I did not discuss it with anybody. Like I said, me and the mayor have been frenemies for a while. And I have never heard his opinion on it. My husband even asked me, well, what does the mayor say? I said, he hasn't said anything for or against. So I just want to reiterate, I've always tried to do the best for the people in London in all of my careers, including my career as an emergency room nurse now. And that's what I felt I did with my vote. So if that's gutless and cowardless, then that's your opinion.
All right, thank you. Mr. Hitt.
Yeah, I want to stand by my decision as a council member that is beyond the bounds of our authority to deal with this at a local level. I was watching the news this morning, and the Supreme Court is dealing with this for Mississippi and Texas. Hopefully that'll come out a favorable decision. You know, it may end up being the state's responsibility for this, and that's without risk to London. If it ends up being a state decision eventually, then there's no risk to London, you know, by that decision by the Supreme Court. That's it. Next safety meeting is the 14th at 5 o'clock in the meeting room over here.
Thank you. Mr. Hayes.
I don't even know what to say. I've gone into burning buildings myself. I've pulled people out of burning vehicles. I pulled a man off of a woman that was trying to rape her one time. I had to kill people when I was in Vietnam. Don't ever tell me that I'm gutless or I don't have the manhood. I don't want to ever hear it. You people don't know me. Why do you say you people? I'm saying everybody in this audience that said anything against me tonight. You don't know me. I'm not attacking you. I'm telling you, I've got the floor right now. I'm not attacking you. I'm just telling you my side of it. It was a bad thing for this city to do that. The Supreme Court is probably going to overturn Roe versus Wade anyway. It may take a few months, but I think they will. I'm praying that they do. If they don't overturn it, they're going to overturn it to some degree. The public demands it. It's better for the government to take care of it and then the state to take care of it than for the city council to take care of it. I want to thank all city employees for jobs well done. I want to commend the London Red Raiders on a great season, making the playoffs. They did a great job. They lost by 1 point in the playoffs, and they played their hearts out. Next safety meeting, as Mr. Hitt said, will be 12/14/21, 5 o'clock in the meeting room. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Peters?
I just want to thank everybody coming out tonight. Since I can't say go Buckeyes this weekend, I'm going to say go Bearcats. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Russell?
I just want to thank everybody for coming out. I especially want to thank the two people that didn't get to finish their words, but said they will be back. But I just want to say this. If you can bring me a piece of legislation that says absolutely everybody that has an abortion will be accountable, then I'll go for it. Because God's word says, thou shalt not kill. Doesn't say thou shalt not kill if the mother's going to die. It's okay to kill it. It's okay to kill it if the baby's not. When you can bring me God's word and show it to me, then I'll go along with you. But how dare you? How dare you call us names? How dare you think you know what we feel? How dare you? We sit up here and we take. I have been called liars. I've been accused of calling people dumb when they were ignorant. And how dare you? You know what? You need to everybody needs to go to God's word and see what he says about the mouth. What comes out the mouth heals and destroys. And when we start using words that destroy each other in this city, we will not be blessed. We will not be blessed. We need to come together. Let's go march on the federal government. Tell them, ban it all. Anybody has one, the mother's responsible, the doctor's responsible, everybody's responsible. But we can't eliminate that mother. We can't eliminate nobody. We can't say you can buy it in West Jefferson and come and have it in London, and that's okay. We cannot do that. This is my next to the last visit here, so I won't be called any more names, that's for sure. But I've had a good time. This is a good city. This is a good administration. We have department heads that you guys wouldn't believe, and that's the only reason we're that good. Not because of us. We're the sandwich, we're the bread to the sandwich. Bill Long, the supervisors of all these departments, they're the meat. That's who do the hard work. And then they filter it through the administration, and they tell us. And I'm going to say this, Henry, and I apologize before I say it. You said last meeting you don't even ask the mayor for a chewing gum or something.
We're frenemies.
I don't care.
Everybody knows that.
I don't care.
He talked about. He
I don't
talked
care.
about when he
I don't
decided
care.
to run for. Where was
I don't
I when you
care.
decided to
I
run for
don't
mayor?
care.
Where was I? When we talked about that.
But that's what coming out of your mouth.
We met together, didn't we?
You said you don't ask him for nothing.
And I don't.
If you don't ask him for nothing, I don't know how you can be effective there.
On a frenemies. Thank you, Ms. Russell. All right, my turn here. Mr. Hitt made a good point, and I've made the point several times. This legislation that we had before us is not ours. This is something that needs to be fought on the state level and on the federal level. If for some reason the states go federal and they fight Roe versus Wade and they overturn that, and then it changes the legislation that the state can operate off of, then that can change the legislation that the cities can operate off of. We don't have the authority or the ability to enforce or bring this type of legislation at all, but the state does. As we see in the news, there's several states, and that's exactly what they're doing. So since we are a statutory city, we would have to operate under those guidelines. So if it's overturned in the state, then that changes how the city can operate around that. I'd like to also congratulate Greg Eads on winning the recount vote for council at large. And I've already congratulated Mr. Stahl at the last meeting. And again, thanks to Brenda Russell, being here on council. You and I, we've been frenemies at times. And I think that this is a really tough position. Some people see us here and they think that, I could do that, or why don't they do this, or why don't they do that? You know what? When you're here and you're the one that actually has to make the decision, you do everything that you can to make the best decision that you can with the knowledge and with the information that you do have. It's not always easy. This is definitely not an easy topic. This is a topic that's discussed right now across the whole country. It's not a small topic, and it's not just in London, and it's not just in Lebanon, Ohio, and it's not just in Mason. This is a huge topic of discussion in the United States of America right now. And, you know, when we signed up to possibly be voted in as government official or government representatives and officials, these are the types of things that you need to be ready for. Everything's not going to be easy. Everybody's not going to like you. Sometimes you're going to be called names, but you have to have pretty tough skin, no matter what, and you have to continue to keep your focus and continue to do what it is that you've been elected to do. So, you know, I would encourage, you to remember that and basically put yourselves in our shoes when there are tough decisions to make. So, but again, thank you everyone for all of your comments, and thank you again for coming tonight. And, you know, you're more than welcome to come to all of the meetings. We would like to have people at the meetings to, you know, show interest, so thank you. So at this time, like a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn, and God bless London, Ohio.